were 10,110 household members. And because the focus is on children, we got 6,114 children from these households for the interview, for which 57% are males and then 43% are female. And our target for this research is to assess the impact of illegal mining on children, education, and also investigate the health effects associated with children's involvement in illegal mining. And then also some of the occupational hazards that comes with it. We also examine the extent and the form of child labor in these areas and how it affects them. So our thematic areas in terms of the report focused on education. We looked at the enrollment rates and how mining is affecting school dropout or is facilitating school dropout in the mining areas. We also looked at the health and the prevailing conditions that children go through in those areas. And then we looked at the income earnings of the households and the income earnings of children in those areas and how those things are playing out in terms of the effect that it's having on children. Again, we also looked at access to clean water, especially for children. And then the last one is we looked at child protection issues in the sector. So for education, in the mining areas, I think when you look at the report, it gives you the various areas that we targeted for this research. So in the mining areas, generally, the school enrollment is almost about 93%. Cut across all the mining areas, both mining and non-mining areas that were targeted for this particular research. So when you pick, so what we try to do is to also look at it from both non-mining and mining areas to see how the enrollment rates are playing out. So when we pick children who are between 5 and 12 in the mining areas, it's only 61% are in school, and then also they have enrolled themselves in school. It's only 61%. And then when you pick the age between 13 to 14, you have only 18%. And then when you pick from 15 to 17, you have 17%. So clearly, it shows that the more they go up, they drop out. And let's see how these things are also playing out. So in the same area where you have about 61% enrollment rate among 5 to 12, when you come to the non-mining areas, the same rate, the enrollment rate is about 92%. You know, for instance, when you pick New Japan, the enrollment rate is very, very high. And then when you pick Menya Krobo, it's also high. It's 86%. That's compared to the mining areas. In mining areas, you realize that, for instance, you pick Upper West Achim, the enrollment rate is 65%, and then Ayenswano is 62% for the same rates that we're talking about. For children aged between 13 and 14, as I've said, the enrollment rate is 18% and then also 17%. So clearly, the more they graduate, the more you see the dropout rate of children in mining areas. So in view of that, we also looked at the dynamic in terms of the economic activities that children are involved in. And what we realize is that even if you pick the average household income, in the mining areas, is 877.90 Ghana cedis. Let's say 90 pesos, isn't it? And go to Western region, the average earnings of the household is 1,495 Ghana cedis and 7 pesos. So that is the income earnings of families per month. And the income earnings of children in those areas, surprisingly, is a bit higher than that of the general earnings of the households. So, for instance, in children who participate in illegal mining, they earn between 100 Ghana cedis to 150 Ghana cedis per day. And if you translate that into weekly and monthly, so for instance, let's look at the weekly income that children earn in the mining areas. So for the lower range, which is the 100 Ghana cedis, they earn 700 Ghana cedis a week. And then the upper range, which is 150 Ghana cedis, they earn 1,050 Ghana cedis a week. And when you translate that into month, you realize that the lower range, they are taking 2,800 Ghana cedis. And then the upper range, they are taking 4,200. Which clearly shows that the incomes that children earn from illegal mining is 3 to 5 times than what the average household earns in the mining areas. So clearly, this paints a picture that, and when you look at the enrollment rate, you realize that the more they grow, the more they find it attractive to go into illegal mining than to be in school. So there is some kind of correlation between the school dropout rates and then also the income earnings, because the more they drop, the more they go into it and they earn. And what this has done to our children is that a lot of them have become premature breadwinners in the family. And we try to also interrogate how that is also playing out. So as early as 13 years, a child becomes a breadwinner for the family, either taking care of himself or herself and the sisters, taking care of a parent, and also taking care of their grandparent. And in fact, in terms of the children that we interviewed, about 4.9% reported that whatever they gain from the illegal mining, they use it to take care of themselves. And the 6.6% says that they use that to take care of their parents. And then 8.3% say that they do that to take care of their grandparents. That is parents that are not in a good condition. So they do that to take care of them. And this, as I've said, has given some kind of responsibility to children who don't have capacity to deal with it. So a lot of children are engaged in activities that are not they are not supposed to be engaged in at that particular age. And what that means is that by the age of 25, we're going to lose the productivity of our children. And by all the research and information available, those are the periods that you need the productivity of our children, or our young persons. So if they are taking this responsibility as early as 13 years, we can imagine the effect that is going to have on them. So we also looked at health issues, and what we did in this area is to look at the common conditions that they go through or they do get in the mining areas. And most of these are related to respiratory conditions. The first one, which for instance, if you pick Amasia West and South, about 85% of the children are affected by pneumoconiosis. I don't know if I pronounce it well. I'm not a medical person, so they are affected by it. And then you also pick Sefiwi also, Akontombra. About 85% of the children report that they have tuberculosis. And then when you pick Bia East and Bia West, about 70% of the children report that they have respiratory conditions. And that, for us, have some kind of bearing on the kind of chemicals that are used in those mining areas and how we make it loose for our children to have direct use of those materials and how it's affecting them. And you come to water and sanitation condition in these areas, you realize that a lot of household members are depending on clean water in the form of a sachet or bottled water as a means of their drinking water. So in the Western region, for instance, the average household spends about 480 and 50 pesos to get sachet water for the family. And if you compare that to the earnings of the family, clearly they spend almost about 50% of more than 50% of their resources to have access to clean water for the family. And then when you look at Central region, for instance, they spend 111 Ghana cedis. The average family spends about 111 Ghana cedis to get a clean water. And this, we strongly believe that is having effect on the economy of households in the mining areas. So the issue of child protection also came in, where a lot of children are getting pregnant accidentally because of the nature of the work, and then the kind of people who are engaged in those activities, and how they lure our young girls into this kind of sexual exploitation, to the extent that we have recorded about 45.5% of the children that were interviewed between 5 to 17 said that one way or the other they have recorded sexual transmitted diseases. And that also raised a lot of issues in relation to the health conditions of our children. And some of the girls also said they have gone through some sexual exploitation and survival sex. I don't know what that means, but they have to survive those conditions because they need to also meet a need. And for us, we think that if at that age children are going through these kind of difficulties, then we need to do everything possible. And I know you've taken the lead in ensuring that government takes steps to deal with issues of illegal mining in this country. And we also want to paint this picture to you, what the effect is on our children, and see how best all of us can deal with the matter. So in respect to the details, the details are in the report, and I'm sure when you go through it, you understand the position that we hold. So in doing this, we are making some recommendations that, yes, it is important for us to revise the way and manner we approach issues of illegal mining, especially when it comes to child protection cases in those areas. So there is a need for government to take steps to abolish community mining programs. And we think that a comprehensive policy must be developed to also take into account the issues of child protection. Then we are saying that government also need to enforce strictly the free compulsory basic education in those areas, because the enrollment rate is very low. And if you are not careful, we will tend to invest so much in those areas and we will not be able to get the benefit that we need. So there's a need for us to tackle some of the issues that takes children out of the classroom, so that the investment that the state is making in children will still be something that we can account for. Then we are also saying that, looking at the phase of the reform that are going on in the mining sector, there is a need for the Gold Board to introduce what we call the sustainability program in that sector, as it is in the case of the Cocoa Board, because the laws and the things that we've seen so far did not really discuss issues of sustainability. And what we mean by sustainability is, if any person want to buy gold and supply to the Gold Board, the person should have the capacity to also invest in social intervention. so that whilst they are getting the gold, we are able to reclaim the land, we are able to deal with issues of child protection, we are able to give life to the community so that the communities do not spend so much in taking care of themselves already. They don't earn so much. So we are calling for that. And we are also saying that it is important for us to develop environmental policy that would also take into consideration issues of child protection. Because in most cases, we do not take into consideration some of the issues that affect children. So we tend to make a policy, Forestry Commission can make a policy without necessarily looking at the effect that it will have on children. So there's a need for us to look at all these things in terms of how we handle issues that affect our children. So basically, and in conclusion, we want to say that with all the evidence that we have and the work that most of you have done in the area of illegal mining, there are serious consequences that are affecting our children. And for that matter, we need to collectively take steps to deal with this kind of illegal mining so that we can save the future of our children, we can take them from the current crisis that they are in, and to make certain things unattractive for them to participate in, and to find the need to recognize education as the only means that can also protect their welfare. So basically, this is the outcome of our report, and we want to share it with you. So if you have any question, feedback, or you need
Also, the vendor is email giving more
yeah.
and also where are you sending these reports to? Sending to the government or committee on children, or where are you sending them?
Okay. I think for the purposes of this research, we targeted children who are between 5 and 17. We interviewed those who between that age bracket. Those who below it will not be able to give us a fair idea of what is happening. But when you go to the mining areas, you realize that as 7, 6, they are participating in illegal mining. So the interview that we did targeted those between the ages of 5 to 17. Then again, the issue of where the report is going everywhere, including you, the media. And we decided to start with you because we know you've done a very comprehensive work in that area, and we feel that sharing it with you first, you have an idea of what is happening, and I'm sure some of you also have witnessed some of the things on the ground already. So that is the first point of call. From here, we would serve the Minister of Gender a copy of the report, and if the need be, we have to make it available to Parliament for them to also look at it. But for us, the main reason why we did this is to ensure that we do a very good advocacy, in terms of how government will handle this particular case. So that is our strategy. Exactly. Well, in every organization, there are issues of safeguarding policies that must be part of whatever they do, be it EPA, Forestry Commission, and all that. But in most cases, it's more on the compliance, it's more on safeguarding the forest, and then also making sure that people comply to the regulations and all that. But what we fail to do is that we don't integrate the issues of child protection as to whether children have the capacity to even participate in that environment, and what regulations can we put in place to ensure that if you are seeking for this a land to be reclaimed, what will be the role of children? Do they have the capacity to do that? So there should be a deliberate attempt to make it express in the policy so that whoever is participating in that will not either engage children in the process or will not carry out an activity that will have effect on children. So those are the kind of policies that we want to see. When they are developing their policies, that integration must be there. Like the Gold Board, for instance, we know that there's a law now, but going to the law, I've not really seen anything so much talked about in relation to sustainability that even relates to child labor and child protection cases. And we feel that you want to regulate that system. You also need to ensure that your sustainability program is part of the law that you are developing. So that if I, for example, go to buy gold, I know that I'm not only buying the gold, I'm also ensuring that there's a protection. I have to do due diligence in buying the gold. So if you go and buy the gold and the gold is produced by children, in elsewhere they will call it as a black gold. It's not worthy for you to even buy it at all. So there's a need for us to do that so that people can use a very good system to procure some of these things for government, because now it is government that is going to buy the gold. So government cannot buy gold that is not pure, So we need to do everything possible to make sure that there is some kind of integration when it comes to sustainability program around what we want to do as a state. Because already we are investing in our children. So if we don't take steps to also look at other sectors, we may be putting money to invest in our children. At the same time, the state will turn around, sending children back to where we want to prevent them. So basically, that is the idea. Yes, because the research that we did, there are different phases of the research that we did, and this particular one focuses on children. The community mining program, for me, did not help the state in the sense that the kind of engagement that I entered into by the chiefs and the other stakeholders, the elders of the community, is not really serving the interests of the community. And we feel that if government want to go by that direction, it's going to face difficulties with how systems can be in place to ensure that the general policy benefits everybody in the community. I'm very technical with this because there's a lot going on in communities that you see the program running as a community mining program, but you will realize that it's not even the case when you go into the details and arrangement between the chiefs and the miners and or whoever has the concession to do the work and all that. There's not proper monitoring system to even do that. And even when you talk about the royalties and all that, and I don't want to even go into that. So clearly, for us to now deal with the issue comprehensively, I think that the ownership as it is should solely be by the state. And if the state want to ensure that community benefit from it, then they should introduce a sustainability program. And that for me would affect and to be beneficial to every community member. But with the mining, the community mining law or the policy, I don't think that it will serve the best interest of household members in communities.
I believe this is not the first time we are seeing. How will you ensure that these reports will achieve the purpose, listening to the stakeholders, as you said? How will you monitor that reports will achieve?
I think monitoring is all of us, isn't it? This is something that is affecting a whole society, a whole community, for that matter, families. So all of us must be watchdog on the work that we are doing. And so far as we are concerned, issues about children, we all know we don't take it for granted. And if there need be that we need to use other systems to ensure that we achieve the objective that we have outlined, we will do so. But for now, we want to make our findings public. And then if there is a need for us to look at other areas, why not? We'll do that.
This clearly isn't something that is new. Or we had a conversation on this. Actually, almost all of it. Firstly, why now? Is it getting out of hand? And secondly, what are we looking at doing? Because the government in itself is struggling to get that. So what are we doing in the community to connect with the parents of these children who are involved in the actual unit, those who are trying to do others, to ensure that it comes to an end?
Yes, as you mentioned, we've been at this for a very long time, and at the point we were at a level where we need to have evidence to speak to the issue. So even this research that we're talking about, we started doing it not today, just to be able to establish a trend and come out with a good report. So clearly, it's getting worse. That is a fact. The situation is getting out of hand because if you look at the rate of school dropout within a certain age cohort, it's alarming, and you cannot take it for granted. Otherwise, before children get to the age of 25, they will not properly be educated, and that for me is a threat to national security, and we should not take it for granted. Then again, the issue of the diseases that children report, and to the extent that children might survive sex, and for me is the peak of it for a child to say that they don't have any alternative for survival, but use sexual activities to be able to survive. As a nation, I think is also a threat to us. And most of us, we expect solution. We don't want just to come sit here, discuss the issues, and then we go. So as organization, we have identified some of these children that we are giving support to. Some we've put them into apprenticeship, some we've supported them, giving them scholarship to continue with their education, and some too we have to deal with their medical conditions. Because the issue of child protection, I cannot disclose what the children's diseases are and the condition that they are in. But some we need to step in to make sure that we provide them with the medical care that they need to be able to survive and all that. So we are doing our best, and I know some of you too, especially we've been at this for a very long time with you, and we think that moving forward, we need to show some kind of evidence. That is why we did this. And as I've said, if we continue, we are not finding solution, we'll find another alternative to make sure that we protect our children. And for me, we've done it before, and we will not hesitate to do it again. So that is where we are now.
But if you look at the age bracket that we are talking about, all of us will get worried because the KG to 6, that is the 5 to 12 years, 1%. And then when they get to GHS, 13 to 15, that's bracket, we have only 18%
Yes.
of them going to school.
Yeah.
Running up to the SHS, that's now talking about SHS, getting a lot of people. That one.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you consider giving education service so that you look at the trend and see how you can work on it.
So why not? Definitely, we'll give it to the stakeholders, so they will be part of those that we're going to give it to. The reason why we mentioned the gender ministry, because they are situated within the policy framework to have a voice in the general outlook of the report. So for them, we'll target them, but there are other stakeholders that we need to target. and education is part. Parliamentary Select Committee on Gender Education, and then I think mining or something. They would also get a copy of the report. You see, the reason why we were a bit alarmed were because of the dropout rate, and then also how attractive the income earnings are for children. So you will see that bridge. So when they get to a certain level in the whole in certain communities, the mining communities, they feel like they are of age, to go into certain activities to earn. So education is not alternative for them. Continuity is not alternative for them. So they find it more attractive to go into the mine. And what is happening, and I know some of you've done work in those areas. What is happening is that sometimes the children are trained how to even protect themselves during when they are engaged in illegal mining. So apart from they earning money, we are also teaching them how to handle harmful weapons, to deal with people and all. So assuming that we are not no more doing mining and they have other skills for protection, you can imagine what they will engage themselves in, and how they can take a life of a person without even thinking twice about it, because they see gold and money as the only life, the bread that they have. So they will not allow anybody to play it with it. And if it continues and they attain the age of 24, 25, 26, 27, then you can imagine the kind of mindset that they will have. And if the state even want to rehabilitate that concept that they've already conceived, you can imagine the amount of money that we're going to spend to rehabilitate them. So we can't afford, to lose them, and we cannot also afford to make them premature parent when they don't have the capacity to be.
How much are we having or training the student parts in the school? Caring for them.
You see, rehabilitation is very expensive. That is why I always recommend that we look at more preventive activities than protection and the rehabilitation and integration. Because the average person who has gone through a 21-day activity and has acquired it, you will need the minimum expenditure that you need to take care of that person is between 500,000 and 1 million Ghana cedis. And that, even for you to begin to see results, it will start from 2 years. And you need a maximum of 15 years to be able to rehabilitate a child who has gone through a certain behavior for some time, and so it's an expensive adventure, and we don't want to, as a state, we can't even afford it. So it is important for us to look at how best we can prevent some of the issues rather than rehabilitating them.